Young living brings an ancient science to the modern world. We're excited to share with you today about essential oils, commonly known as aromatherapy in the world today. Essential oils dates back several thousand years before the time of Christ. It's really exciting today to realize and to know that there is a lot of scientific research and documentation to the effects and the benefits and uses of essential oils. Today we're going to spend a little time in sharing with you some of the scientific background of essential oils so it'll help you better understand the use and the effects. And we're going to show you and demonstrate some applications that will help you to utilize the oils in your own home. Essential oils are chemically very heterogenic, meaning they're very diverse in their effect and have different action, unlike synthetic chemicals that have basically one action. This gives them a paradoxical nature, which can be difficult to understand, only until we compare them to another paradoxical group, human beings. For example, a man can play many roles: a father, a husband, an accountant, school teacher, co-worker, friend, church volunteer, scoutmaster, singer, etc. And so it is with essential oils. For example, lavender. Lavender can be used for burns, insect bites, headaches, PMS, insomnia, stress, and so forth. Plants in nature are chemical factories. They take in the elements of the sun and the earth and light and darkness individually to receive the energy from both, converting them into molecules of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the crude fuels which we break down to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is our high-octane fuel for the body. Certainly the human body has an affinity with nature's essential oils, which absorb and pass through the body with great ease. Many scientific experiments have shown that essential oils can travel with relative speed when applied through massage or inhalation. The molecules of essential oils are so microscopic that they can penetrate the fatty layers of the skin. The lipid solubility of essential oils also allows them to travel transcellularly or directly through the cell. Their penetrating ability through the fatty tissue layers into the interstitial fluids may explain why essential oils enhance circulation and why massage with essential oils can be so beneficial. We know that the immune system can be greatly improved by the general increase in movement and the decrease of the viscosity of the blood. This will enhance circulation and is vital to good health as it affects the function of every cell and organ, including the brain. Increasing circulation will increase blood oxygen, and when combined with essential oils, which contain oxygenating molecules, will improve cellular and organ function. ATP is a very important part of daily metabolism because it supplies the fuel for the cells. The body requires oxygen and glucosides in order to manufacture ATP. Essential oils contain oxygen and glucosides which convert into glucose in the human body, which is the raw material of ATP. When we know and understand a little bit about the science of essential oils in the relationship to the human body, it becomes really exciting, especially when we realize the value they have in not only enhancing our everyday lives, but in the possibility of protecting us from disease. We're going to take a pause for a moment and prepare to set up to come back and demonstrate applications of the oils and ways you can use them in your home for yourself and your friends and family. Thank you. Well, we're back, and we're going to get ready here to share with you the exciting part of aromatherapy and the use of essential oils, and that is application. We're going to start off with Vita Flex. This is a therapy that I learned from a man by the name of Stanley Burroughs many years ago. Vita Flex is an ancient form of Tibetan reflexology. It is actually said to have been developed before acupuncture. However, it is quite effective. I find acupressure and Vita Flex to have some similarities. We'll share that with you and show you. how this works on the feet, and how to apply the oils. So we're going to go to the feet here and give you a demonstration of what we're talking about. If I may, as we're looking at the feet, you can see how interesting it is that we put the 2 feet together and we form a complete body. The head, the inner eye, the inner ears, and the outer ears on the toes. So this region here, we're going to work in affecting all the areas of the head. The neck of the big toe is really a critical part when you're doing Vita Flex therapy, or what is commonly called reflexology. I want to teach you another method for those of you who are commonly using reflexology and explain why that I feel this method is much better. Vita Flex is a technique where you push on the tissue. For example, in this matter here, in a pressing and release. Curl, press, and release. Curl, press, and release. Now with the standard form of reflexology, the technique is to push, hold in, and wiggle in a circular motion. The theory is that there's crystallized deposits in the tissue, and by pressing and wiggling you can break those deposits down. However, what I found in the laboratory with blood analysis, that when you press and hold, you inhibit the oxygen exchange in the tissue and will cause tissue degeneration and breakdown. Using Vita Flex, we're not working on a crystallized application, but we're working with electrical exchange. When you press your finger on the spot, you roll up top dead center. Right at that point, it fires just like a spark plug fires on an engine. Now, it is important to have the fingernails cut very, very short and file down. Otherwise, you're going to demonstrate acupuncture, and we do not want to do that in this case unless you're licensed. But the purpose here is to roll up top dead center, a gentle press, roll over to the fingernail. Now, it's important that the fingernail rolls over because it not grounds, but insulates that electrical spark. When you're at top dead center is when it fires. Roll over so it'll insulate it and allow the spark to travel through the electrical system of the body to the contact point. So the technique is very simple. Roll up, press, roll on over, and come back. All right? Now, the neck of the big toes represents the thyroid, parathyroid. This is a very, very important place to remember and to work on. As we work down the ball of the foot here and follow the inside of the arch down, this represents the spine. And of course, as we go into the coccyx point here and down into the heel, all of this region here, we get into the hips and the lower legs. Coming up on the outside of what would be your right foot is the ascending colon. Now all you have to do is, if you follow up the outside of your foot here, you'll feel a bump right about there. It's a little bone that protrudes, so run your finger up until you feel it. When you do feel that bump, and that is the point where the transverse colon crosses. Now, because we're looking at the feet in your view, we come up the right side, cross the transverse, go on across on the left foot, and down on the outside of the left foot, back across to the coccyx for the rectum point. Now, this is a real important area to work. Up and across, and down and back to here. Okay? The spine reflexes are very important. All of this region in here is going to involve the small intestines and pelvic organs. Now, of course, on this point right here, we're going to have the liver. Straight across on this side, we're going to have the spleen and the pancreas. Very important organs to work. Across the ball of the foot here is the respiratory organs, the lungs. Now, another point that is very, very important to remember is right behind the ring toe. That's the second toe in from the outside, which is the little pig, and then the next little pig. You go right behind the joint, and that is the point for the heart reflex. Okay? So now that we've given you a little bit of understanding of some of the points to locate on the feet, we're going to just take a pause, and we're going to show you some application, how to put the oils on these spots. Okay, when we begin a Vita Flex treatment with essential oils, one of the things that's really important is to remember to remove all of your jewelry, because you do not want anything metallic interfering with your energies. So watches, rings, necklaces, things that might interfere. Second, it's really important that when you're working with the person, and as we're showing you here in the home, how to do this in your home, you do not have to be a trained therapist. Simple little stool or on the couch or easy chair, whatever works for you, is always put yourself in a position, and if you have a little stool to sit on yourself, take the stress off the legs is much nicer. Sit in a position where you have nice continuity and good energy flow with the person that you're working on. You do not want to be in a cramped position like this because this causes whiplash to the energies of the body. It's nice that you sit below the person that you're working on so your energy is lifting their energy. Now, the thing that we always do first with the oil is we always start with valor. And you can ask the person to assist you as well. It makes it quite nice. Have them put 6 drops in your right hand, and then rub it all over the bottom of their right foot. Hold it, and put 6 drops in the left hand. Now you're holding the foot with your right hand to right foot, then rub the left foot with the left hand. The oil's all over the bottom. Simply now holding it the same, left to left and right to right. This is the application that we utilize with valor for balancing the electrical circuits of the body. Chiropractors have found that using valor helps to align the skeletal system and correct pelvic rotations. So we always do this before we start out applying the oils. Hold the feet from 3 to 10 minutes, whatever feels intuitively best for you and the person you're working with. After you have completed that process and it feels complete and balanced, then you can move to the next step, letting the left foot relax, holding the right foot in your hand. We're going to start up, working on the outside of the foot to affect the ascending colon. Now, when we start with that, we have diatone. Always allow the person to, we're going to turn the foot here just a little bit so you can see the direction that we're going to go with the oils and how we're going to apply that. Now, we're going to ask the person that we're assisting to give us about 6 drops of diatone in the palm of our hand. That's good. Then you're going to take your left hand and go clockwise with the oil in the palm of the left hand, and then applying it. And I'm going to get in an awkward position here, but so you can see on the foot the technique. Now, this is not the angle you're going to be in when you're actually doing this, but you're going to put the oil of diatone right along the ascending colon, and then just press and roll very gentle, very gentle. And as you can see with all 4 fingers, you're totally affecting the ascending colon. You're going to move up a little bit, about a half a finger width each time, just a little bit more, a little more, and you can come all the way up until you have affected even the little toe. Then you can back down and come right across the center, which is following the transverse colon across until you're all the way over to the spine. Now you have just totally affected the ascending colon, the transverse. You've picked up the liver, the small intestines in that same sweep. Again, we'll show you how to just go right across there, working all 4 fingers at the same time across the spine, across the transverse. Now, when we want to work the spine, let's say, for example, we have a problem right here in the lower back, and there's a little pain. So then we're going to go to birch, because birch is really beneficial for bone. And we're going to do the same thing, only this time the oil is going to go in the left hand, 3 drops, and then you cradle the foot with your wrist, go clockwise, always clockwise with the fingers and the oils. Now what happens when you're doing this, it increases the frequency of your electrical field and the oils, and then go right on that point. There again. Just we'll turn the foot here a little bit so you can see. Again, just press it in, roll it over and release. Roll, press and release. Roll, press and release. roll, press, and release. Now we want to work the entire spine with the birch. Remember, birch is exceptionally beneficial for bone. It contains 99% methyl salicylate. So we're going to start right at the coccyx point here, again with all 4 fingers, and just roll it in and walk right up the spine. And see, you just move about half a finger width each time you come up until you've affected the entire spine, the thyroid, and even tweaked the brains. So that gives a nice little application there to the spine. Always repeat it 3 times when doing a complete application. Now I'm in a little bit of an awkward position here for the camera so you can see what I'm doing. But when you're doing this, you're going to want to be in this position here, so the energy flow is very smooth and fluid-like. Now, if the camera can come in on my hands and you can watch the motion and see how easy this is, then you can practice this at home. Very simple. Now I'm going to come up on the outside just to demonstrate it again. Now if you've got small feet, you can put your thumb over the foot, over the instep, but if not, just lay it along the side and just roll right up the foot. Okay, in this case, over the instep, you can use the thumb like a fulcrum, and you can roll right over that. Makes a very nice application. Now since we have this position, we're going to slide the pant leg up a little bit. Relaxing the leg slightly, you can let the foot rest on your thigh. This region right along here, inside the shin bone, is a secondary contact point for the colon. So we'd take a little diatone again, and again putting it in the left hand, going 3 times clockwise, and then going down the inside of the shin in this fashion. Always be sure that the person that you're doing this for allows you to hold the weight of the leg, so it's totally relaxed. Otherwise, you're not going to receive as much benefit. Now at the point here, when you arrive at the ankle, just continue right on down underneath the ankle bone. So you're going to flow from this direction here underneath the ankle bone in this direction, and dropping on down into the lower arch, which is following the groin region. And at this point here, you're going to pick up the prostate and uterus, and then going on into the bladder meridian here in the arch. So just let that flow right on down around the ankle bone. Just follow that on down right into the arch, and then you're back on the spine again. So it's really important. You've just stimulated the ascending colon, the transverse. Now you're coming back and affecting the transverse ascending colon second time, this direction here. Okay, at this point here, we can go to the other foot now and do the same thing on the other foot. And I'm going to slide around on this side so I don't have my back totally to the camera. And again, we're going to put the oils of birch or pain away for the spine. And we're going to put in 6 drops. And we're going to go clockwise again, the palm of the hand, and then applying to the foot. And work that spine up. And always repeat it 3 times. I'll go a little slower here so you can see the fluid motion and how the fingers always roll all the way over. Now, don't get up on the foot like you're doing a spider dance here. You know, get down so you've got nice contact, so the person knows that you care about them and you're not afraid of their feet. All right? Now, while we're right there, we're going to come back and we're going to do the colon. So we're going to go 3 drops again in the palm of the hand, clockwise, relaxing the foot, following the inside of the shin all the way down, just like we did on the right leg, around the ankle bone again, and into the arch. And we've just completed this. And again, repeat that 3 times. Now we're ready to move on to the transverse colon and the descending. Now I'm going to show you here in a backwards position of the flow across the foot. So you can work across, and you see, notice how my hand is moving slowly across the transverse. And of course we're working the diaphragm at the same time as we're working over here now towards the liver and the spleen and the pancreas. We reach the outer edge of the foot, and we're in position now for the ascending colon. So we just simply walk right down the ascending colon, and then we start back across towards the inside of the foot again. And here we're picking up all the small intestines, and of course we're also picking up some of the pelvic organs at this point, and the sciatic, which is right here where my little finger is, a very critical spot to always remember. And so we walk right on across, following the sigmoid colon all the way over to the rectum. And you've just completed a complete circular motion of the intestinal tract. Now we can also come back, and I'm going to do it upside down here for the benefit of the camera so you can see. We'll turn the foot a little bit. We're going to work the lung region here and the bronchial areas. And we're going to just walk across. The bronchioles are very important to also give attention to. Now in the case where you can't reach all the way across, you can come back and pick it up this way. The toes are very interesting because of the eyes and the ears and the stimulation that we need there. So we pick the toes up this direction and work them over the top. Now the top of the foot is quite interesting too. We should always remember to work the top of the foot, and as you can see we can go down between the bones on the instep here, and this is a very important respiratory contact point. And move over and get down between the other two. Move over, and you can work all of the foot. Very, very nice application. Okay, we'll stop there for the Vita Flex on the feet. Another important point that I would really like to share with you is the Vita Flex points for the heart. Now today a lot of people have problems with stress, heart-related conditions. Aroma Life is the blend that has been really beneficial to help these conditions. The first contact point that we're going to look at is right here at the ring finger. Again, on the left hand, because the heart is on the left side. So we come to the ring finger, and where the lifeline crosses is a pretty good contact spot, and it's right behind the joint of the finger. So you can put your thumb and finger right there and you can feel it. So what you do is you have your friend put one drop in the palm of their hand, again going clockwise, applying it to that spot, and again in the same motion just curl, press, and release. Now there's a secondary contact point that is valuable also. You bring the arm to the square, and then you follow an imaginary line straight down from where the arm folds. Find the elbow, the crazy bone, and it'll be approximately 2 inches. Reach up underneath the muscle, right here. That is the other contact point for the heart. So again, simply take the oil on the thumb this time, reaching that contact point right there, bringing the other thumb back up to the ring finger. So you've got thumb and finger on this point, your thumb on this contact point, and then you alternate 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's a very nice application to work with heart stress type conditions. Okay. Another therapy that I developed a couple of years ago that we have found extremely beneficial, I call it raindrop therapy. And it's a combination of the oil application and a technique used by the Lakota Indians. And we found this really beneficial for back problems, scoliosis, deteriorated disc, and compression. And so we're going to show you how to do that with a volunteer that we have with us today. And however, with ladies that have longer hair, you have to kind of bring the hair aside and just let them know that they're likely going to get a little bit of oil in their beautiful hair, and that can happen. So just try and bring the hair around to the side as much as you can, because we're going to affect from the base of the skull all the way down to the coccyx with the raindrop therapy. So we're going to have this little lady just lean forward a little bit and open the towel here so we can show the back and how we're going to apply the oils. Now, the thing that we're doing here is just using a simple chair and just the person leaning over the chair, so you can see that this is a very simple application, and you can do this in your own home. Now, if you happen to have a massage table or the person's laying on the bed or the floor, it works very well and is quite easily facilitated that way too. Now, we simply start off with an oil, and depending on what we're working with, for example, if we're going to work with a spine that's got some problems in it, we're going to use oregano and thyme. We've found that the antiviral properties in oregano and thyme are really beneficial in helping to correct problems with the spine. Now, in a sitting position, it's a little bit more difficult than if the person is laying down, and so I advise always having the person laying down flat. But you can see the spine area that we're going to work here. It is best, too, to have them remove their necklaces before applying this. Now, the object of the essential oil raindrop therapy is to actually drip the oil from the bottom of the tailbone, in this case, and just hold the oil. And of course, if they're laying down, you're not going to have the running problem that we have with them sitting. And then simply drip on the oil of oregano, and about 4 drops is quite adequate, and thyme about 5 drops is quite adequate. Now, if you're just working with an arthritic condition or a compressed vertebrae, then drip about 6 drops of birch and 3 drops of lemongrass and 4 or 5 drops of marjoram and 4 or 5 drops of cypress and a couple of drops of peppermint. And then you take the very tips of your finger in a feather-like stroke, just the very tips, and you're just touching, and all you're going to do is just feather right along the spine in a 4-inch stroke, and then move up 4 inches and feather stroke it again, just barely touching the skin, moving up another 4 inches, and just so you're just barely making contact, a feather stroke, and continue doing this right up the spine. All the way up, and be sure that you continue this process right to the base of the skull. And that's why I say the ladies will get a little bit of oil in their hair, because you can't help it, particularly those with long hair. And then come back and you repeat this process 3 times. And I'm going a little faster here than normal for the sake of tape. And only 4-inch strokes. And the 3rd time, always working from the coccyx towards the head, or from the tailbone to the head. Now, after you've completed that 3 times, then you come back with both hands and you go up and fan off the ribs, about 6-inch strokes. Go up and fan off the ribs, and each time you go up about another 4 to 6 inches and fan off. Now, they'll get little goosebumps on their back because this is kind of chilling. And what you're doing is you're stimulating the nerves to pick up the oils that are on the surface, and it takes it into the system very, very quickly. And after you've done that 3 times, then come back and go all the way up and off the shoulders. All the way up and off the shoulders. All the way up and off the shoulders. And then all the way up the spine to the neck. And again 3 times. And just no weight, no pressure, just the tips of your fingers just stroking. And that's the raindrop therapy. Now, there's a couple other things that I'm going to show you that will work very well in working with the spine. I'm going to stand in an upside down position so you can see a little better. With the thumbs, and you go this way, walking the spine. And this helps to loosen up the muscles along the vertebrae. allowing them to relax, which allows more oxygen and greater circulation along the spine. And everything that you do, always do it in threes. This is excellent nerve stimulation, and you'll find when doing this, it really helps with the digestive system. At the fifth lumbar is where the nerves branch out to go into the stomach for digestion. So this is a real nice location here to apply the oil of ditone to help enhance digestion. Now with the kidneys, which is a real prime location to work with too, if the person has their arms right down to their side, then we can bring the elbows back here. We can expose the elbows just a little bit. You can see where the elbows are, and then lay a yardstick right across the elbows, which you can see the waistline of the jeans here just about right in line with the elbows. Then you go up approximately 2 inches, and that's about where the kidneys and adrenal glands would be. So this would be an area that you could do endoflex. For example, if a person was having fatigue in the endocrine glands, then just simply take endoflex, and just like we do with the rest of the oils, and just put 2 or 3 drops in the palm of your hand, going clockwise again, and just applying right to that region. And just massaging it in, really good. And then you can come back with the thumbs again and do the Vita Flex over the thumbs, or over the spine with the thumbs, which increases more stimuli to the region, the location. Now, any time you find someone that's got a vertebrae that's sore or has had damage, you can work right in a single location. And remembering that birch for bone is very beneficial. Basil is anaspasmodic, and if you are working with a muscle, for example, let's say a shoulder muscle that's really tight, then just go clockwise and massage it clockwise into that muscle. And of course, across the trapezius is really a place that's really necessary for people who are doing a lot of work with their shoulders lifting and that sort of thing, or typing, ladies that sit typing. It's really nice to work that in there. Aroma Seas is a nice oil blend to work in the shoulders a little bit. Now, we're showing you several different types of applications, so you can work right on location, or you can do an entire back. Now, after the oils have been applied and the oils are basically dry, then come back to orthoes. And same thing, putting the orthoes in the palm of the hands and taking the hands together and then going over the entire back. And just massaging it in, really nice. And you can give a nice deep tissue massage if that's what the need is, or just a relaxing massage with the orthoes. The orthoes really helps to increase the penetration and the healing action. Very soothing, very relaxing. And then before you finish and let the person go, the next application is using a compress, and there's different ways of doing compresses. First is to take a basin of water with a towel, saturating it really well, and then wringing the towel out so you get all the water, as much of the water out as you can, so it's not running down the person's back. Now, if you have a large towel, you're certainly going to want to fold it. Smaller towel, just lay it right over the area. Oils and water are not soluble, and the hot water will stimulate the lipids in the cellular membrane and create a faster absorption of the oils. So a compress is an excellent way to get quicker action and absorption with the oils. Besides, it feels really nice having the warm towel on your back. Then take a larger towel, dry, and simply place over the top. This holds the heat in and makes the penetration last a little longer, and it's really, really nice. Second is taking your basin 3/4 full of water, take your oil, put 15 drops in, agitate the water vigorously, then using a face cloth or a hand towel, depending on the size of your basin and the application purpose, lay it right on top of the water while it's still agitating and let it soak As it does, the water will stop agitating, the oils will rise to the surface, absorb into the towel. When the towel is totally saturated, then just wring the towel out, and you will capture about 98% of the oil within the towel. And this makes a real nice application for infants, children, and elderly people that have sensitive skin. And it's important to remember that some people, like redheads particularly, have much more sensitive skin than brunettes or even blondes. Using the oil compress is really a nice way to soothe and relax, and you can use it on the back, you can use it over the tummy, you can do a compress on the feet. There's multiple ways of doing oil compresses with the towels. Now, another thing that is quite interesting and we must keep in mind is that certain oils and oil groups, and just to give you an example, the citrus oils, they're high in citral. The conifer oils like pine, spruce, and fir, and cedar are high in phenols and terpenes. And your spice oils, the clove and nutmeg, they're very high in phenols and xenols. These oil groups are caustic to the skin in large amount or in a neat application. When you're applying an oil in a single drop or 2 or 3 drops on a single location like a Vita Flex contact point or a spot along the spine or on the hand or the arm, you can use the oil neat. But if you're covering a larger area of the body, always thin the oil. And the best is to use your massage base, and a good dilution is 15 to 30 drops, and I prefer 30 drops to 1 to 2 ounces. For infants and children, I go 2 ounces, or 15 drops to 1 ounce. And this makes a real nice dilution and a nice safe application for children, infants, or elderly people, and particularly when you're covering a large area such as one's back. Now, another application that is really, really nice when you're doing oil application or just in the home on a daily basis, and I prefer and recommend a daily basis because we have so much toxic bacteria in our home that we bring in from outside, and of course the airborne bacteria and funguses and viruses. Essential oils diffused in the home, this is your greatest air purifying system that has ever been invented. Of course, this is just an air pump, so we're not using heat to diffuse the oils. And we apply the oils right here in the little well, and then the air pushes them through the nebulizer, breaks it into a fine micro mist, so we can capture the oils in the room. And through inhalation, we breathe the oils in through the nasal passage, through the olfactory to the amygdala, which is connected to all the endocrine glands in the brain. The oils, when inhaled, will have a response in 1 to 3 seconds. This helps to the endocrine system to produce endorphins and antibodies that are all very supportive of the immune defense systems of the body. So oils are extremely important to diffuse in your home. And of course the blends and the singles are really, really nice for that. Now we have the single well and we also have the double well. This is the double well model, and so you can run 2 oils. There's an off and on switch. You can run 2 oils simultaneously or individually. A single and a blend together is really nice, or 2 blends, or 2 singles, whatever your application is. The oils have been found that when diffused in the home, they also help to break down the molecular structure of chemicals and metallics and take it out of the air, so they're a great air purifier, releasing the ozone, the negative ions, the oxygenating molecules, and the antiviral, fungal, and bacterial properties makes diffusing oils in the home an absolute must. The next criteria is selecting your oils. One of the biggest problems we have in North America today is the adulteration of essential oils. To give you an example, in 1991, there were 52 pounds of Melissa oil distilled. However, there were 1,000 pounds of Melissa oil sold. Another example is lavender. In 1992, which France is the lavender capital of the world, they produced 27 tons of lavender oil. However, they exported 57 tons of lavender oil. The problem that we have is they cut lavandin, French lavandin, with Russian lavender or Chinese lavender, or a combination of both, with 30% synthetic lavender. And this is what's exported to North America. Because of the demand for high-quality oils and the rising cost, there is a lot more money involved when they can cut the oils. Also, oil quality depends on the type of distilling. Low pressure, low temperature, and a longer time of distilling is extremely important, the old-fashioned type of distilling. Today, a lot of the distillers are using high pressure, high temperature, putting solvents in the water so they can distill much quicker and increase production yield. When I saw this happening several years ago, I became alarmed and felt I needed to assure Young Living distributors and ourselves of the highest quality that we could obtain. So we obtained land, a farm in northern Idaho, and a farm in southern France to grow and produce the finest quality of oil. And just recently contracted and obtained land in Upper Egypt so we can grow and distill and have the highest quality oils that are available in the market today. Also, I travel every year to the distillers and the growers to select my oils and to guarantee you the finest and highest quality oils on the market today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining us and being with us. Have a great day.